G'day guys, Mr. Oz Adventure here. We're coming at you today with another voiceover due to experiencing some audio issues while I was in Tasmania. This day's riding, day 5 of my 13-day stay in Tasmania, was an absolutely epic day. If I thought the riding the day before was awesome as we entered into Tasmania's west coast, it was only about to get better. This was day 2 of the AuStrom Suzuki V-Strom meetup. We were at Tullah Lakeside Lodge where we'd stayed the night before. We started the day with a group photo, got the drone up, took some photos, took some videos of us all together, all the bikes lined up beside the lake to commemorate the event. It was an absolutely stunning location to gather for a bike event. Highly recommend staying at Tullah Lakeside Lodge if you're in Tasmania. The plan for today was to ride to Queenstown. Now, from Tullah to Queenstown is less than an hour away, so it wouldn't take very long to get there. But of course we weren't going the quickest way. We weren't even going the second quickest way or the third quickest way. We were going the longest way that we could possibly do in a day, and we were going to muck around and play while we were doing it. It wasn't going to be a quick ride. We're going to be stopping, having some adventures along the way, as you do, making the most of our time here in Tasmania's awesome, wild west coast wilderness. If I thought the countryside was pretty barren of people and buildings and civilization the day before, oh man, we were getting really wild today. We were getting really out there into some barren landscapes. The roads through this landscape were just seemingly endless, twisting, turning, amazing pieces of bitumen. Oh, I tell you, this is motorcycling paradise. I thought it was good the day before, but man, this was even better. After a short ride through some twisty forested areas, we arrived into some low-lying scrublands that just seemingly stretched on forever, with a few hills and mountains and rocky escarpments off into the distance. Everywhere you looked, it was just amazing wilderness. After a short stop to take in some of this scenery and just experience it and take it all in, we'll back off for some more twisty fun, heading west towards the coast. Next stop on this amazing ride today was Reece Dam. Named after former Tasmanian State Premier Eric Reece, construction on the Reece Dam began in 1974, and the dam was finally opened as a source of hydroelectricity in 1987. It is located on the Pieman River, and Pieman River is 100 kilometres long and has 4 such dams on it. This stop off here was one of the highlights of the day. I always love a good dam. Anyone that knows me knows that. And it was a damn good place to send up the drone. It was such a scenic spot to stop off. Big Kev put his drone up in the air above the dam and filmed the group riding across the dam, and we all gathered for a group photo over the other side of the dam. It was absolutely stunning. Definitely worth taking the longer route to Queenstown to come and ride across this dam. It's one of those stop-offs on a bike trip that, you know, sticks in your memory forever, I think. After dicking about at the dam for about half an hour or so, it was time to continue on our way back into the wilderness of Tasmania, forgetting that there was anything else around us that was man-made apart from the twisting piece of bitumen that we were on. What a glorious road it was. My mind was blown several times during this day. It was such an incredible day of motorcycling. The further we got towards the west coast, the more the landscape turned into low-lying scrubland, dotted with small hilltops and the odd little rocky outcrop here and there. Before long, we're entering the scenic old mining town of Zeehan. Zeehan is these days a sleepy little town, and it doesn't seem like there's really a lot going on there, but it hasn't always been that way. Back in the 1880s, silver was discovered there, and a mining town quickly grew up around it. Zeehan quickly expanded with the discovery of silver, and it boasted a population of about 10,000 people in its heyday. It was Tasmania's third largest city at one stage. But now it's fairly quiet there in Zeehan, and the population is only 700 odd, making it fairly quiet and peaceful as you cruise through the town. We stopped off there just for a brief little break, just to regather the group. After a little snack as well, it was time to hit the road and continue further south towards the town of Strahan. Riding through much of the same wilderness area, there wasn't a lot out there, just awesome scenery. Not so much twisty roads because it was pretty flat along the coastal scrub there, but it was still an awesome ride into the town of Strahan. Perched right on the side of Macquarie Harbour, Strahan is a stop-off place for river cruises up the Gordon River. It is one of Tasmania's most iconic rivers, and the wilderness is just such a special part of the world there. There's a number of cruises you can do up the Gordon River. Located in Macquarie Harbour also is the Sarah Island convict settlement, which is now, of course, long abandoned, but is part of Tasmania's rich convict and colonial history. I've heard nothing but good things about the Gordon River cruises and the things you can see and do in the town of Strahan. But we didn't have much time there. We had a lunch break, worked out plans for the afternoon, and then we set off to do some beach riding. Strahan is also known in the adventure motorcycling world as a place you can ride down onto the beach. This is something that many of us had never done before, myself included, so I was really looking forward to getting on the beach and doing some sand riding. Not long after we left the town, the back roads turned into dirt. That was an awesome ride in itself, just cruising along the river up towards the mouth of the famous Gordon River. It's just such a beautiful part of the world. It was just absolutely stunning. I'm just speechless again, just thinking back on how beautiful it was there, just cruising along the river and then getting out there onto the sand. It was an absolutely magical experience, and this part of the day was definitely one of the highlights of my trip to Tasmania. And I tell you, every day something special happened. It was just such an incredible trip, and this was just one of those moments that I'll always remember. So Jay, Dave, myself and Martin headed out looking for the track to get onto the beach, and we didn't know how to get onto the beach, so we were just following our noses pretty much, and we ended up a track that was quite deep sand, and with heavily loaded V-Stroms this proved to be quite the challenge. We didn't realise that there was a much easier track at this point, and once Jay had fallen over, we started doubting our abilities in the sand and tried to work out what we were going to do, whether we'd push on or whether we'd turn around. After a little bit of negotiation, we decided that the sand was beyond our skill level, and choice of tyre and our tyres weren't really made for sand, especially poor old Martin there in his road tyres. He did extremely well getting to the point he did, but once he'd stopped he couldn't get back out again. The bike just got buried. We're following Dave into the sand, and Dave's a bit of a machine. You know, he'll ride anything anywhere, but we're not all like that. Dave went off into the distance, found the beach, and once Jay had fallen over, Jay decided, nah, I'm getting out of here. So we turned him around and he went back out the same way we came in. Then it was time to try and get Martin's bike turned around, and every time he just tried to go forward, the bike would just get buried further and further and further. And then, out of nowhere, Dave turns up again. And Dave goes, I'm going to get this thing out for you. Dave, being the machine he is, just gunned it. Then he just gunned it all the way onto the beach. I didn't have the confidence in my ability at that stage on the sand. And I'd had a few moments where I nearly dropped it, so I turned back around and went back out to the harder packed gravel car park. We decided then that we were going to abandon our beach ride. It was sad, but we didn't feel like we had it in us. But it wasn't over. Riding out with the tail between my legs, I came across a few other V-Stroms that had just been on the sand, and they told me how to get onto the beach an easier way. And yes, it was much, much easier than the track we picked. Poor old Jay, he'd taken off with Dave ahead, and they'd headed back towards Strahan, giving up on the beach idea. David only had a little ride out there, but Jay didn't get out there at all, unfortunately. They didn't bump into the same ride as I did that gave me the directions to get onto the beach. Jay missed out, but luckily I got on there and found the way onto the beach, where I discovered there were heaps of other V-Strom riders already there, having fun ripping up and down the sand. Man, that was awesome fun. It's pretty stable, just floating around on top of the sand, but you get the odd deep patch here and there where you felt like you were going to crash, and some people did. Some people dropped it there, but being sand, it's just a soft little drop. No one was injured, no bikes were injured, but man, it was amazing fun. If you've never ridden a big, fully loaded adventure bike on the beach, I highly recommend doing it. Such an incredible experience, and one of those memories that I'll always have. We must have played around there for a good half an hour or so, maybe more, just tearing up and down the sand. But the tide was coming in, which meant that our easy access on and off this beach was very, very short-lived. So although we're having fun and the scenery was just stunning being out there riding along the sand, we had to get off and get back up the track alongside the river before the river overtook our escape route. I reckon another half an hour or so of playing on the beach, and I would have been riding the water to get out, which would not have been good. It was going to be either that or the deep sand that we had trouble with getting down there in the first place. After all that fun and excitement, it was time to head back out, head towards Strahan, continue through the town this time, and head towards Queenstown, where we climbed up into the hills again. We got back into some more forested areas, left this low-lying scrubland behind, and you know what this means. Twisty roads. Seemingly endless twisting roads that were absolutely stunning. Oh, I keep saying it, but man, the west coast of Tasmania is motorcycling heaven. It was just endless beautiful road after endless beautiful road. Queenstown is a really famous motorcycling destination, and this is why. Every road leading in and out of the place is absolutely stunning. All of a sudden, it was late afternoon by the time we got into Queenstown. I don't know where the day had gone. It just disappeared into a day of adventures, talking crap with other motorcyclists, and just glorious scenery and twisting roads. Queenstown is a very unique old mining town. Once a barren landscape, denuded of all vegetation on the hillsides, it is now becoming green again, and it's quite a unique scenery. It is absolutely bizarre. It's always been such a unique place to come and visit, and one of those iconic weird places in Tasmania's history, so it was great to be there. We'd had a pretty good day weather-wise. It'd been overcast all day, but as we came into town, it just started to rain, and it rained all night pretty much. Motel accommodation we had there was great. It was awesome to see just V-Strom after V-Strom lined up in front of this epic scenery out front of all the rooms, and we settled in for a meal and another night of drinking and festivities, reflecting back on what was truly an amazing and incredible day of motorcycle riding. I'll go over to Richmond and see Australia's oldest bridge. This is it, the Richmond Bridge.